And we are synced up. We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 305, I believe. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Elsewhere on the screen is the current reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling party champion, Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how are we doing tonight, sir?
I am being totally excellent. And I just enjoy partying on, dudes. And I'm taking this moment to wish Scholar Jeff the happiest of birthdays today.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
nothing
you.
says birthday celebration than talking about this week in professional wrestling.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, it is my birthday. And yeah, what a great way to celebrate it than talking wrestling with the fellow scholars of wrestling, including joining us today, the one and only Scholar Charlie. Scholar Charlie, how are we doing tonight, sir?
It's been a crazy week of retribution, storms, and silly underground wrestling. Like Tarek said, happy birthday, Jeff. Scholar Jeff, Hefe Doodles, Robbie Rage.
That's never gonna die, Hefe Doodles.
Never,
Oh,
ever.
boy. Aren't
You
I
even
the
want
lucky
it to
one?
die.
He doesn't.
No, not exactly.
Uh,
I've been called worse things in my life. But be that as it may, like we're talking about, the show goes on and the world of professional wrestling does not stop. So if we're going to kick this show off right, we have to look behind the curtain and start things off with a little bit of backstage news.
Indeed. Because it's your birthday, I'm going to go right ahead and let you steal that little opening that I usually do when we check in on a little...
Backstage news.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Brian's not here, so yeah, news.
Getting our cues wrong,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, all right. Yes,
But yes,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of getting in the getting things wrong files, something Marty Jannetty killed a man, apparently. A Jannetty in the ring and a Jannetty in life.
Sorry.
Yes, in
That's
case you haven't
really
seen
it.
Yes, in case you have not seen it, this week on Facebook, on his personal page, Marty Jannetty, former tag partner with Shawn Michaels, confessed to the murder of a man who supposedly was going to assault him, and as of maybe a day or two ago, he confessed to buying weed off the person, and now there's apparently an open investigation. The police are actively investigating Marty Jannetty at this point, all because of he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. So let me pose it to you guys in the form of a scholar's quick talk. How many drugs was Marty Jannetty on? Charlie, you go first.
Apparently far more than when he drunkenly dives into coin fountains.
Oh boy.
But the way you introduced this whole segment, all I could think of was Anchorman, and Brick killed a guy.
Marty killed a guy.
Yeah, am I even shocked at this point? Like, Marty Jannetty will do anything to get on the news, apparently. He'd be better locked up at this point than any of his publicity stunts.
I'm not even convinced they're publicity stunts anymore. They all just seem like the saddest cries for help I've seen in quite a long time. Fool, how many drugs?
All of them.
Yes.
Probably enough drugs for the casual audience to ask, Shawn Michaels had a tag team partner? But yeah, that's what... When I first read about this, I was thinking, Okay. So your weed dealer decides to screw you over, so you basically make him quote unquote disappear. And it just my immediate response was just immediately was just uh, whole 9 yards. And Mr. Ozaransky, I don't know how to tell you this, but it seems your wife has hired a hitman to kill you, or at least attempt to hire a hitman to kill you. And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, wow, this is reaching that point where this man is just, he is just a very, very sad story. And who knows what he was on when he posted that posted that comment on Facebook or status or whatnot. Immediately deleted, and then didn't he try and like give an explanation on what he posted?
Yeah, keyword being try.
Oh boy. How did that?
Honestly, I don't even remember all I heard was he tried to write something.
Yeah, he tried to justify why he did what he did, and just like, oh no, it's not. I wasn't threatening to kill the girl I was dating. I was just telling you that I killed a guy who tried to assault me.
Oh,
No big deal.
Oh, I have a perfectly good explanation for all this. It was the drugs.
Sorry,
I am just drugs. I am just on so much drugs right now, so I decided to just confess my sins on Facebook, and then I realized what I did and immediately deleted it. And now I'm being investigated. You got this all wrong. I didn't kill the person. I'm just trying to get some. I just made someone disappear.
I am doing less of the drugs.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Can't live that 80s wrestling style in 2020, that's for certain.
Seriously though, this is just extremely sad. And I really hope that Marty Jannetty does not end up on the 3rd season of Dark Side of the Ring at this rate he's going.
Who would you rather be at this point?
He's already. Oh yeah.
Virgil.
I already saw that. I already saw the meme of
Virgil, because he's probably doing better than most people think.
That's fair.
I already saw a meme going around of Marty Jannetty posts making a man disappear, and it's that picture of the one black guy behind the tree with like smacking his lips.
Oh.
And that's Dark Side of the Ring producers.
Oh. Please. Something tells me they don't need any more ammunition for season 3.
No.
Please don't add to their dog pile, Marty. Please, for the sake of your legacy and your present and your future, please step back from the keyboard and turn away from the drugs.
From all of the drugs.
From all of the drugs. Well, speaking of staying away from all of the drugs, or maybe not.
Segue?
Well,
best way ever.
Well, let me put it this way. I wasn't sure if I was taking any of the drugs and that I just was not aware of. But I woke up one morning and suddenly I discovered that
you were high as hell.
No, not that particular moment.
That transformed into
high on life.
I was because I keep seeing these headlines of, oh yeah, The Rock bought the XFL.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I gotta ask. I need to ask 2 questions. First of all, I kept hearing all these conflicting reports. Does anyone remember how much you paid for this?
$15 million.
It doesn't matter how much you paid for this. Yes, I got him.
I got it in before you. Oh, whoa! I said it before you said it doesn't matter.
Well, either way,
honestly,
I had my happy moment. I'm good now.
When it comes to The Rock, I was expecting you to post the note of Daniel Bryan and The Rock Twitter warring against each other and having a potential match.
Awesome.
That happened as well. Again, because nothing's been confirmed yet, I didn't want to dive right into that and take it as official news. Could be banter knowing the 2 of them. Yeah, I didn't take too much.
It's banter worth talking about.
Yeah.
True. But again, nothing's been settled yet, but this is the big news that The Rock has apparently saved the XFL. Now that's good.
Indeed.
Take me through this. What was your reaction as soon as you heard the news?
Vince McMahon must be shitting himself. That was my immediate reaction.
Why do you think?
Finding in a silly week of wrestling.
So why do you believe that Vince McMahon is shitting himself?
Because The Rock pretty much bought his baby from under him.
I'll tell you what.
Vince is like, Rock, you're my best friend. You think I can help get involved? And Rock's just going, no.
You failed twice.
Except the second part wasn't his fault.
It's like you already have a bunch of people already hating you, like all your partners that you had with the last incarnation of the XFL, people hating you for it, pretty much showing how much of a shithead businessman that you've pretty much become recently. Pretty much made me forever turn my back on. This was like the final straw. Where I'm just like, you know what, Vince should just go away. But when it comes to The Rock and his love for football, I could just see him taking all the debt that Vince left the XFL. He could clear that up because, Rock's the highest paid actor today. And with his other business partners who was also part of the deal, they could just bring this back up and just continue making and possibly even make it a better product.
But
and even the last incarnation was actually a really good product. So saying it'll even be better because, the people's champion, the man who actually understands the people, knows what the hell he's doing.
The second time around, it wasn't Vince's fault. It's coronavirus, but
he didn't.
Who knows where it's headed?
Oh, it probably would have done better if the coronavirus didn't happen. But it pretty much just shows how much of a shitty businessman, or sleazy businessman that he can be. Basically, just stabbing everyone in the back. Oh yeah, I'm not going to pay you now for all that you did to help me bring this new incarnation of the XFL to life. Thank you. Good luck. Now I'm filing bankruptcy. Bite me.
So we knew this going in.
So if you had to sum it up in just a few words, are you feeling more optimistic about the future of this? Does it bode well for the XFL, or is it just a delay of the inevitable, and eventually it's just going to close down and collapse like the original XFL did? If you had to put your money on one.
I think Rock could bring it. I think he can give it that flair that he puts on the Titans show that he's running. I think he can make it. I don't know. I think he can do it. I think it's worth giving it a shot.
He'll probably run it better than Vince ever did with both incarnations.
Can we even count the second one though? I feel like there were 2 weeks of gameplay.
I'm going to count it.
It still happened. I'm
going to count it.
Okay.
I'm going to count it. At least it was enough period of time where you could see what they were going for and you could see the quality of the games. Didn't last long enough, but it certainly seemed it boded well, and it didn't ran itself into the ground before anyone could blink. So it certainly seemed encouraging to me at the time, and with The Rock and a big Hollywood company behind the helm, I am fairly optimistic about the XFL's chances. If it's reorganized in the right way, which I've got no reason to doubt it's not at this point, now I've got plenty of data and experience to go off of, I'm pretty optimistic that this could be a hit.
Absolutely.
Now, going from the backstage to the rest of the shows this week in general, first we're going to kick things off with Raw, where we had a very jarringly new segment, seemingly out of nowhere. We got Raw Underground. what appears to be some sort of fight club with stripper dancers, with a whole lot of really quick camera cuts.
That is actually the only real criticism I have with this, is the quick cuts. Because the idea of Raw Underground, I'm like, you know what? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued on seeing what they're going to do with this. And with the very short fights that they have, I'm just like, you know what? Okay. I'm intrigued. This is the first time we see it. The only complaints I have with those terrible, terrible, terrible Kevin Dunn quick cuts. That little I've read somewhere that of all the quote fights that happened on Raw Underground, I think there were like maybe 6. There were 6 fights on it, and all 6 of them combined were over a minute and 20 seconds, and it had over 78 quick cuts. And my immediate response was, "Damn, that is terrible." Like I said, I like the idea of it, but it was just the execution that was more of a fail. It was understandable that Shane McMahon would be introducing pretty much that kind of quote unquote fighting to WWE, just because of his history with MMA and all that. And so, yeah, of course he brings it in. And the strippers, I just feel are too Attitude Era. It's for this type of day and age, where people will just think of it as the wrong way, as basically having, especially with the women's evolution, as using women's as, props to look, sexy. And yeah, again, the idea of it, I'm actually intrigued and actually all for. It's just a very, very bad execution. There would just be a couple of nitpicks a couple of changes I would do. The number one would be just getting rid of those stupid quick cuts. But like the ending of Raw, where the Hurt, what do they call it? The Hurt
Business.
The Hurt Business. Thank you. Wow, I'm thinking the Hurt Corporation. I don't know why. The Hurt Business comes in and basically take control over it. And I'm just like, you know what? MVP looked awesome. Shelton Benjamin looked awesome. This is Bobby Lashley's This is like his golden toilet that he could just go over and take a nice good dump in all over, because that's what he did. He just shit all over all the people that were there by destroying them. But yeah, again,
wow.
And who was it that Shane introduced, the big guy that he introduced in this segment?
That's what I was trying to figure out. It's not jumping to me.
Top of my head.
But yeah, it's like, okay, have him come in, bring in a big name just to show dominance. But yeah, too bad Brian's not here. He'll have a nice Dolph Ziggler talk with me about this one. Dolph even was involved with it. Eric from the Viking Raiders looked pretty strong coming out of it. If these fights actually lasted a little longer and not just good 2-minute segments, maybe one big segment or maybe 1 or 2 big segments throughout the final hour, I'd be like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. I'm actually pretty down with this. But having it be barely 2-minute segments throughout the third hour, it's like, okay, here it is. Fight, match over. All right, now it's back to what's going on regular Raw. So it's like, how can you get the people invested in the Raw Underground if you barely are showing it with you're basically pulling little sprinkles of Raw Underground throughout Raw, regular Raw. And I'm done.
Well, it is a very good question to ask, but then again, so much of this seems so new that, at least in my eyes, this could go either. There's no middle of the road here. either it's going to take off like a rocket, or it's going to crash and burn, and it's in all of its sprinkledom. And no mass sprinkles are going to help. However, all that being said, if they execute this in the right way, I'm cautiously optimistic. Like if they have one general ass kicker who just keeps running through everybody, then they could potentially build him someone up as a brand new star, something that they're in dire need of.
I like the legitimacy that it's bringing to the Hurt Tarek business. Yeah, it made
to be fair, the Hurt business was kicking ass on Raw anyway.
Like badasses, so I think it came at the right time to help them, because we don't need to see Shelton Benjamin winning the 24/7 title as much as R-Truth, because that's not going to last. And MVP can only fight over a fake, real U.S. championship for so long.
He's getting a match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as they drop,
I'd love to see this culminate with Lesnar Lashley in there, but that would just make too much sense.
So, as a Scholar's Quick Talk, if you had to guess, would you say that Raw Underground will be used to elevate new old stars, or do you think it'll be used as a platform to build and promote new ones? If you had to pick one or the other.
I could see it working both ways. I mean, like I said, Dolph Ziggler has the amateur wrestling background, and he actually looked pretty good in his one match. Eric looked pretty good. It'll just tell. It's like they kind of dropped they didn't have him be a Viking Raider. He was just Eric, the badass fighter that just beat the shit out of this one guy. So, and like we said, there's the one name that Shane McMahon brought in that neither of us seem to remember. So yeah, that's an up and coming guy. So in ways, it can work both ways, but the only real downside about it is I don't think the wrestling audience is really going to give this Raw Underground a real shot, because it's a WWE product, and if it's anything WWE, let's just shit on it. At least that's what the internet wrestling community is right now. AEW shit's gold. WWE, no matter, even if it's good stuff, they shit. Dirty, nasty shit. So it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, it could do something good if the wrestling audience is willing to give it a shot, but because the internet wrestling community today is so anti-WWE, I don't think this will probably just be I don't see this lasting very long, unfortunately, at least for them.
Charlie, early predictions to the future of Raw Underground.
I think, like Tarek's saying, I think the internet community is going to be what decides its fate. I've already heard with every internet review of it that everyone likes to have it hold hands with Brawl for All. So with it being tagged with that, it's meant for failure amongst them. If Shane wants to take it upon himself at this point to be like, fuck what they say, I'm gonna try to build stars, then I think I think it can build the straight brawlers that WWE needs right now. Like the guy that we can't remember his name. Maybe they can cut off his first or last name and give him the WWE treatment so we can remember his name. But like I said, as far as helping current guys, I didn't see the Dolph Ziggler thing, but I've heard nothing but good about it. And like I said, I think it made the Hurt business look stronger than they have any of the past weeks. So
they looked strong the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, as much as people want to bash Raw Underground, it could possibly have its upside.
Now, going from that to this past week on SmackDown, not too long ago, just from as of this recording. We had a couple interesting happenings on SmackDown, specifically at the very end of the show. A bunch of masked individuals with weapons stormed the ring and cleared the house like their name was Nexus. This was Retribution. And it's just a whole bunch of people in black hoodies and ski masks. And I gotta say, I was kind of unimpressed. Seemed like dollar store versions of Nexus. And I believe, Charlie, you were the one who pointed out that it looks like no one is over 6 foot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What in the world is this? Who's under the masks? And can you see any good coming from this angle?
Absolutely not. And from the rumored names that are in this, I am not attracted to this at all, in the slightest. We had guys spray painting the air, for Christ's sake. You know, like I don't know, Tarek.
One thing, I actually haven't heard any of the rumored names to be a part of this, so I guess I kind of don't want to listen. I don't want to know the names.
You don't want to know.
Okay. It's a interesting idea of basically them sabotaging Raw with, like, you could set with the lights being flickered, the microphone, basically them, doing more riot damage than what the Riot Squad ever did. I guess it's really just the execution on who is in it, and I won't take Charlie's disappointment on who the rumored names are going to be in it. I just hope that they don't aces and eight this and have basically reveal one person at a time.
Oh, jeez.
And like someone we've already seen on the show is the big mastermind who is like the Bully Ray Dudley in it. So, and or Samoa Joe turns out to be one of the members, and he's just still on commentary, kind of what they did with Taz for Impact. Speaking of Samoa Joe, at least he had an awesome show. All in all, when it comes to Raw Underground has potential of being something interesting. This Retribution group, I just think it's disappointing that like they've kind of built, like at least online, with the like leaked rumor of them introducing a new stable to Raw. That was pretty much my main reason on watching Raw. Excuse me. Other than doing it for the show. And just my disappointment where it kind of just other than them just throwing a cocktail Molotov at a generator, it's like, okay, so I was pretty much watching Raw for 3 hours for that shit. And really, my final thought on Raw was that it was just a complete mess. I was actually remember being I was watching. I remember it was just as I'm watching Raw, I'm just like, well, the last couple of weeks have been, very intriguing. It's kept my interest. So let's see how this one goes, especially with Shane McMahon coming back with a big announcement, potential stable. All right, hopefully this will be a good Raw, and it turned out to be the exact thing that I was afraid of when they announced Bruce Pritchard was going to be in creative control of both Raw and SmackDown. From the stupid Nia Jax suspension to the stupid ending of Shayna Baszler and Sasha Banks. Because,
Can someone explain that to me?
Simple. Asuka attacked Bayley and caused a no contest. Because, fuck logic.
That was just...
And apparently Shayna Baszler's a face now. or a tweener or whatever. I don't know. Again, and then the next day reading how chaotic backstage and the filming of Raw was. Yeah, this makes sense because Raw was such a like.
They were going to film it twice, right?
Huh?
They were going to film up like a backup Raw or something.
They were filming this week's and next week's. They filmed this past week and they filmed next week's Raw. And from what I've read, everything kept changing during filming of this week's Raw, and they're pretty much, while they're filming the next week's Raw, they're pretty much still writing it. So it makes me they are in such disarray that it just
needs a new game plan.
Yeah, drop Vince McMahon because he's the one that's pretty much screwing everything up. He already dropped Mustafa Ali as a top contender. So yeah, he didn't even get the 3 weeks that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander got. He got 2. He showed up, he got a pin on MVP, and then Lashley ate him.
Oy. Well,
pretty much just drop Vince. It's all him. It is all him.
Triple H is already saying that he wants to retire by 65.
Don't listen to what Ryback says.
Okay. Triple H isn't saying that he wants to retire by 65.
No, that's what. Ryback said that's what Triple H said.
Oh, okay.
No,
it's like that Simpsons meme. Always do the opposite of what Ryback says.
Just give him a Rice Krispie treat and just let him go away.
When I was in WWE, that's what they wanted me to do. Ooh, Rice Krispie treat. Don't kill me, Ryback. We love you.
Don't kill me, Bill DeMott, while I'm eating my Rice Krispie treats.
Come on, Bill.
Come on, Bill.
Come on, Bill. All right. Well, to take us home, hopefully with some good news. Tarek, I noticed you didn't catch this last week, but I mentioned this to you earlier that, the closest show last week's SmackDown, the Fiend apparently attacked Alexa Bliss, and then Alexa Bliss had a showdown with the Fiend just tonight on this episode of SmackDown. Tarek, did you happen to catch this?
I did see this particular angle of her putting her hand on the Fiend's, just resting on the Fiend's hand, stopping him, and he's like being a little conflicted. It's like, oh my God, even the Fiend can't withstand the sexiness that is Alexa Bliss. And then Braun just goes on screen and just says, I don't give a shit about Alexa Bliss. It's like, don't you lie to us, Braun. Don't you lie.
You like her, Braun, don't you?
Yeah, I'm that SpongeBob. It's like, why do you look so hungry? You like Alexa Bliss, don't you, Braun?
Yes.
He's just watching screen like, don't you lie? Shame on you. I did see like some video clips on what happened on tonight's SmackDown. It does look like a pretty good SmackDown, to say the least.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch all of it tonight, but I know that you seemed to be immediately intrigued by this whole Fiend Alexa Bliss thing, since they're two of your favorites. But I was thoroughly entertained by it. I'm entranced by anything involving the Fiend. Great use of Alexa Bliss, and not for nothing, I feel like Braun is really flexing his creative muscle here. Much better than I anticipated. Charlie, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And they announced tonight the match between the two of them at SummerSlam. So,
which we all kind of figured, I think.
Do you guys think there's going to be there has to be some Alexa Bliss shenanigans in that match?
Maybe. It's certainly not off the table by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm thinking like a Stephanie McMahon asked, like, no, I'm not with him. I'm with when she was with Vince, like, no, I'm not with Hunter. I'm with you, Dad. Just kidding. And like, she's gonna do that with the Fiend. I have a weird feeling like she's gonna be like, no.
I hope not.
I don't know. It's WWE we're talking about.
I just I hate that the whole fan reaction. Alexa Bliss is gonna be repackaged as Sister Abigail. Yay!
Not only you see that there's like guys making petitions about Bray Wyatt abusing Alexa Bliss. That's the fan base that we're talking about. Like this somehow got
internet wrestling community morons.
What?
We of the internet wrestling community are morons.
Hey, let's put it this way. If every wrestling fan were able to dig deeper than surface level, we probably wouldn't be here. We are the ones who rise from the ashes to school the masses. That's our mission statement.
You know what? Speaking of rising from the ashes, fool, I don't know if you were going to bring this up, but I definitely knowing your history of WCW, how do you feel about Eric Bischoff being the one who's being the the name escaped me.
Moderator for the
moderator. I don't know why I blanked out on that. Being the moderator for Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho's debate.
Fantastic segment.
Yes, it was. And Charlie, I think you pretty much just summed it all up right there. It was a great character-driven segment. Eric Bischoff certainly turns heads among the wrestling fans, and I felt like he didn't overstay his welcome. He didn't interfere with the main show in any way. He didn't do anything to hurt it. Everything seemed fine. I enjoyed it. I don't think he's going to last much longer in AEW beyond some just occasional.
This was just a cameo,
and that's all it needs to be.
The old-fashioned back and forth with him and Jericho was fantastic. When he was like, "I just proclaimed Cassidy the winner of this," and then Jericho's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "That bit that he had, it just got me." And he gave that amazing Eric Bischoff like evil laugh in Jericho's face. Fantastic.
Perfect cherry on top of the AEW Sunday. I totally dig it.
They had an awesome show as well.
They did.
As usual, though,
but that's just the thing with AEW, and I'll just add NXT. Oh, I mean, minus the fact that we're getting Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee at TakeOver 30. I'm not really thrilled on that one.
Cole's gonna have to job.
I've seen worse.
That's the only real criticism I had with NXT. I mean, it was also AEW wise a shame about Sammy Guevara getting in trouble for using the wrong steel chair to bust open Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy, yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow,
well,
really, this really was a crazy week in wrestling.
At least we know Matt Hardy can throw up his guard in like 0.1 second. So
that trained, experienced mind.
Still ended up having a giant gash on his forehead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Well, on the bright side of life, he couldn't get much crazier than this. But I'm sure the wrestling world will certainly try. So all that being said, now is the time where we turn it over to you, our wrestling listening, viewing, and recording and commentating audience of all sorts. What did you think of this week in wrestling? What was the biggest story to you? What was the most shocking? What in the world is a retribution? What is Alexa Bliss going to do? Will the U.S. ever adopt the metric system? I don't know. Do you? No matter what it is, we want to find out. So wherever you are, all across the internet, drop us a line, Facebook comments, YouTube comments on this very video, and of course, our personal favorite, the old Twitter machines, starting with following us at ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads. And to join the conversation yourself, you can always check us out on our personal Twitter accounts. Fool, where can they reach you?
You can reach me at the Avataric.
Charlie, where can they reach you?
At Charlie.
And that's how many E's in Charlene? Yes.
On the scholars. You guys go and count.
Yes. How many vowels? Yes.
All of the E's.
All of the E's. And you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage, probably talking about the new Suicide Squad game from Rocksteady Studios. Yeah. At least until the next crazy thing from WWE happens. Because when it happens, you know we're going to be there because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. See you all next week for more wrestling fun.
Bye.